Hello class, welcome to Cellular Respiration Part 1. So we're taking a look at how the energy that is stored in a carbohydrate gets transferred from a glucose molecule into ATP. So as you know, all these fruits, vegetables, greens, what have you, are full of carbohydrates. So we're looking at how the carbohydrate makes its way into the cell. And there you have the phospholipid bilayer, and then that part right there is the cytoplasm. And in the cytoplasm, of course, you have all the organelles. And the one that we're highlighting is the mitochondria, because that's the organelle that makes ATP. All right, so a glucose molecule is too large to enter the mitochondria. So there's a process that happens outside of the mitochondria in the cytoplasm. And that process is called glycolysis. Glycolysis is the breakdown of glucose molecule, a 6-carbon molecule, into 2 3-carbon molecules. And this video is essentially a summary of that process. Now, to kick off this process, you have to invest 2 ATP molecules. So at this point, we're minus 2 ATP. But those 2 ATP, as they add on that phosphate, that third phosphate, it kicks off the process of producing the pyruvates, the G3P molecules, the glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. That might sound familiar to you back from the Calvin cycle. But in any case, so there's another step that occurs where a high energy electron is donated into NADP to make NADH. And so as you know, NADH is a high energy electron carrier that's going to make its way into the electron transport chain inside of the mitochondria. But we're not done yet. So there's still energy in this 3-carbon molecule, and that energy is going to get stored in an ADP to make a ATP. So if you recall our math, we were minus 2 ATP. Now we're at basically 0 again. We've created 2 ATP. And we've also released a water molecule. And that phosphate group has gone from the 3rd carbon to now the middle carbon. So this is an iso molecule, meaning that it's in the middle. And as you can see here, there's another ADP molecule making its way. So there's more energy to extract from this, and that's making another ATP. So we were at 0, now we're at positive 2. So we produce a net of 2 ATP molecules with 2 NADH molecules. So some of the energy was extracted from the glucose molecule to make pyruvate. And at this point, after that second round of ATP molecules is made, now we are done with our product in the cytoplasm. We have the pyruvates that we need. This molecule is now stable enough and small enough to enter the cytoplasm. But keep in mind that most of the energy is still located inside these 3-carbon molecules, these pyruvates. Pyruvate will now go into the mitochondria, and it will be converted into acetyl coenzyme A, which we'll talk about in the next video. But this is essentially the video, a summary of how glucose is broken down into a pyruvate, 2 pyruvate molecules that will now enter the cytoplasm. And that's essentially the biggest takeaway from this video. Not so much the process itself of each one of the steps, but just that you remember that how glucose is broken down into pyruvate and that it makes a net of 2 ATP.